about human rights violations across China and concerns about the internal traffic continues. The pandemic. Integrity system is the most advanced. And you can ask the guys that built the DRX. Hurricane Ian knocked us down, and when we got up, Nicole came on and just knocked us flat on our backs.
Welcome back, fine folks. This beautiful day. It's beautiful sunny morning up. This beautiful sunny morning. We just went for a long hike. So my lips are froze, but up in northern Ontario, Canada today. I'm in the garden. You're probably wondering, why are you in the garden? Well, I'm in the garden. This is the garden today because I have a cold, and I've had it for, this is my second week. Oh, and you can tell it's right in my lungs, it's in my throat, it's in my head, it's my nasals, it's my bronchioles, my lungs, and it's not going away. A lot of people in the area have had it. The schools have been, rampage with this cold. Seems like we're getting new variants, new strains of colds, and it's just like, it's kicking the crap out of us. So I have to go back to the ancestors to try and heal this, to try and get this underway. And I've had to do it before, and it works great. So I'm in the garden, because in this box, I noticed that I'm growing mullein. Mullein is a highly medicinally used plant. It's been used for generations. Indigenous peoples have used it. Frontiersmen and women, pioneers to cure bronchial illnesses, asthmas, lung issues, congestion. So I noticed in here in the springtime or in the fall that I had a little sprout of first year mullein. It's a biannual plant. So the first year it sprouts leaves, very low to the ground, broad leaves, super fuzzy. Second year it sprouts the leaves, but then a huge seed stalk that can get up to 6 feet high. And I think I have a picture which I'll show right now. That plant was growing at a place that I worked at this summer, and it was the biggest mullein specimen I've ever seen. It likes disturbed soils, wash basins, rocky, anywhere that, the way I like to classify it, honestly, is that it's a people plant. So it follows people wherever they go. So where people are disturbing land and cultivating in any sort of way for gardening or road excavation, that sort of thing, mullein will grow. Those seed stalks grow up, and they have these tiny little celery type seeds growing in the top of them, millions of them. And the plant shakes, and they fling and they fly and they pop all over the place, and that's how they redistribute. But in here, but I know there was one growing here. And I know there was another one growing on the other side of the garden. Now I could be mistaken. It might not be right here. I don't see it there. Maybe it was over here. Let's have a look. Obviously it's going to be quite withered up, dried up, which is, perfect. Okay, it's not in there. I know I saw it. I saw it somewhere. Maybe it's down in here. Okay, I thought the mullein was going to make a fool of me, but I found it. It's right here. So see this here? See this big, broad leaf? See this? This is mullein. Okay? And this is a little patch of mullein that I noticed was growing. And look, it's still growing nicely down in there. So it has very velvety texture to it. It can be used as toilet paper, a diaper, a compress, a pad of any sorts that you needed, because they do grow in massive leaf structures. But this one had just started, so I don't want to pull it. I don't want to kill it. I want this thing to come back as a second year growth. So all I'm going to do is harvest a bit of the top velvety leaves here, which at this point are pretty dried out. I'm going to have to dry them a little bit more. The leaves can grow from obviously this size to like 2 feet in length. Very velvety. It has these little tines on them, and they're not prickly. But what you want to do if you're going to use it for toilet paper, rub it on your stomach. See if it gives you any kind of irritation. If it doesn't, you're good to go. But you won't find a better bush toilet paper than this mullein. while I'm talking, because it is wintertime. I don't have any good specimens. I will be showing you some pictures that I had from the summer. But what I do is I try not to take the center stem here, because it's going to take too long to dry out. I'll just pull the leaves off the side and I'll dry them out inside in the cabin. And then once they're dried, you can make a tea, you can make a tincture, you can make a poultice, you can make a foam. But basically what I'm going to do is dry it out and smoke it. It's been used for years. Indigenous cultures after smoking too much kinnikinnick or smoking too much pipe, their lungs would be inflamed, you know, just like us. Or if people smoke too much marijuana or cigarettes, tobacco, whatever it may be, or say you work in a manufacturing facility, there's a lot of dust. I work with a lot of concrete, so I know that affects my lungs greatly, the silica in the concrete, the cement. But at this particular time, yeah, this is what's happening. It's just this cold has grabbed me and it's not letting go, and I can it tires me out quick. So as a last resort, I'm going back to the traditional ways, trying to fight it on my own, but it's not working. So I'm going to smoke a bit of this. So when I was out on the show in the Sunshine Coast filming Chefs versus Wild, I actually made a pipe out of a little piece of Douglas fir. I was bored in the hotel. We were stuck there 5 days quarantining before we could go on site, and I got bored. So I got this pipe I made. And I might have actually brought back some mullein. I'll take a look. Let's go find that pipe and we'll get this stuff in here drying out inside the cabin, and we'll get going. All right. So I got to get these lungs cleared out. So I'm in the cabin. I'm going to dry out. This is my drying rack. My drying rack. This is my drying rack. This is my drying rack. I'm going to set that mullein up there. It's right above the wood stove. That's going to get this baby going. But what I really want to show you is what we were just talking about. What I made out on the Sunshine Coast in BC was this really cool little pipe out of a piece of Douglas fir I found in the parking lot. So I put a little handle on it so I could put it on my bag. I'll make a video on how to make these pipes too. It's pretty handy when you're in the bush or you're bored. But basically, yeah, you just take the wood, split it in half, chisel it down for your mouthpiece, and then you groove out a center portion in there so it can be used as a pipe. Yeah. Never used it, but I did bring back some mullein too. Forgot about that. This is not marijuana. This is dried mullein. So I'm going to take a bit of this right now and get my smoke on and see if this can clear my lungs up. So this is what the dried mullein looks like. Looks like the wet mullein, just drier. You can see it. It's just like, it's crumbly, it's crackly. I give it a good crumple too, because I want to get any of those little tines that are on it off, those little furs, because they will irritate your throat a little bit. But I can't wait to get this into me. It's been a while since I've had to go to the extreme of the mullein, when I always know it should be the first resort instead of the last. But I didn't remember that I had this little stash of British Columbia mullein kicking around, which is great. So we'll get out here, we'll have a little smoky. Elmer's having a little treat he got last week. Elmer's doing awesome. I don't know if you saw that last video I put up. Elmer met his kids for the first time. He was pretty excited and scared, like most of us. Hold on, I'm gonna have to find my stand. Okay, I got my stand working. Mullein. Tastes like burnt grass. taste that bad. It doesn't taste that bad. But because I sound like a baritone, I'll do anything. Mullen's the best, man. It is the best. I smoked some of this when I was out west because I wasn't feeling very good before the show. I don't know if it was the elevation change, but I wasn't feeling too good, and nerves too. But yeah, when I was out there, I'd roam through the bush trying to figure out what their wild edibles were, because I didn't know what those huge coniferous forests had to offer me. I'm used to these relatively deciduous forests here in central Ontario. I had no idea, so I just go ripping through the bush. Found this piece of Douglas fir branch broke off in a parking lot of the hotel, and I just chiseled it out. I was bored. Then I went rooting around, found mullein all over the place, found a bunch of different wild edibles. But if you're in your area, it doesn't matter where you live in the world, you know, unless you live in a city, it's going to be tougher, but you guys have access to those fancy, you know, naturopathic stores and herbal stores, which are awesome, man. The stuff is super ready, packaged, prepared, ready to go. Experts telling you what to do. You don't have to worry about it. But if you don't have that, like I don't, I wouldn't have that for like 6 hours from here. But you learn your area, you learn what you have in it. Mullein is honestly my favorite plant in the world. I know it seems weird to say someone has a favorite plant. I have a favorite plant. It's my favorite plant. I was never a plant guy before, but once I started to learn and dive into the world of wild edibles, what this place could provide me with, what I had, I realized, man, I've got an abundance of things I can live on and treat myself with medically in my area. And I'm actually turned out in this area is probably one of the better places I've ever been for wild edibles and benefits. You see that mullein? You hear that crackle? That's pulling that stuff as an anti-mucilagen. This is pulling and cracking up that stuff in my lungs. A lot of mint drinks can do that too. I don't find them quite as effective. I tried a medical drink like a Robitussin, and it didn't do anything other than give me a stomach ache. It was so potent. Whereas this here, you break it down into a tea, dry the leaves, not the stems, dry it down, make it into a nice tea, filter it really well with a good screen, real tea screen. Works very, very well. The fish paralytic thing for me is probably the coolest. So those seeds that are in the stalk of that second year growth of the mullein plant, that big stalk with the flowers on it. The flowers are also great for teas, but there's those tiny little celery seed pods in there with millions of them, and you take them and you shake them out in a bag, and you can actually make a fish paralytic. So what the indigenous cultures used to do is they take them, grind them up with like a mortise and pestle, and they'd grind it with rocks and stuff, and they'd get those seeds broken up into a powder form, and then they would take them and throw them into a still water little pool if they were in a swamp or a small lake on the side. And what it does is it removes the oxygen from the water, and the fish will float up to the surface. They're not dead yet, and it doesn't poison them. It only poisons cold-blooded animals, so it doesn't hurt humans when they ingest it. But yeah, so it's pretty awesome. It used to just paralyze the fish, remove their oxygen from that particular area of water, and they would float up to the surface. You'd grab them. It's great for a survival application. If you just want to try another alternative, it's illegal, but in survival application, who cares? Do what you got to do to survive. I've never tried it because it is highly illegal, and if I do try it, I won't post a video on it, that's for sure. But it does. It was used for a lot of years to catch fish. But another, like, just the mullein plant has such a history, and it has such a great a story to tell. It's kept many people alive and healthy, fed, you know, with the fish paralytic thing. Whether or not it was highly productive or not, I don't know, but it's a pretty cool thing. Great for wraps with the broad leaves, diapers. You know, it's just a really, really all-around versatile, beautiful plant. Smoking it they've been smoking this for centuries, you know, before we were around, and to cure bronchitis, lung infections, pneumonia, stuff like that. It was just awesome, you know. So mullein, my favorite plant, just so you know. Not that you care, but you know. Another little hit off this. Oof. She's strong. She's going to start breaking up my... phlegm. Just feels good. I just need some relief. I'm up all hours of the night. Just not feeling good. Just not feeling good. Oh, that was a good hit. Woo! So yeah, Mullein, hope you're enjoying yourselves right now. I hope you're not sick like I am, and we are. So many people sick up here. At a school in town had like 500 children generally attend it, and there was 400 homesick. Hospitals are full. COVID's on the uprise. Just blah, blah, blah. The new world. What? You got Mullein and a small base and some time of information to be able to figure out what's in your area and that we can use for yourself and for your family. It's very simple. You know, it's tried and tested. Mullein, M-U-L-L-E-I-N. Beautiful, wonderful plant. And I'm hoping it'll fix me up, man. Because I need it. I love yous. And I'll talk to you soon. Hope you're doing great. Bye for now.
Lingering concerns about human rights violations across China and concerns about recreational traffic continues. The pandemic. Integrity system is the most advanced. And you can ask the guys that built the DRX. Hurricane Ian knocked us down, and when we got up, the cold came on and just knocked us flat on our back.